Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Voice podcast. This is Vernon R.E. Jones, managing broker, owner of Jones Homes, and for over 32 years, we have serviced the 7-county Denver metro area. U.S. existing home sales rise for the first time in 13 months, surging 14.5% in February. Brief drop in mortgage rates obviously helped this, boosted the home sales, but some economic uncertainty and, the way interest rates are bouncing back and forth, it may be short-lived. However, the surge in sales reverses 12 months of losses in existing home sales. The increase of 14.5% is the largest since July 2020 during the pandemic. Back then, sales rose by 22.4% in 1 month. Single-family home sales in particular are the highest ever since the National Association of Realtors began tracking the number in 1999. And a lot of economists by Wall Street are expecting existing home sales to stay flat at 4.2 million. I disagree. Compared with February 2021, home sales were still down by 22.6%. The median price for an existing home fell slightly, this is nationwide, to about $363,000 in February. First drop in over a decade, but home price declines in the Northeast and West weighed down the overall number. Basically because a lot of homes on both coasts, on the East and West Coast, they are outliers largely for statisticians out there. They are not the norm, which is more so centered in the middle of the country. The number of homes on the market stayed flat at about 980,000 units in February. Expressed in terms of the month supply metric, there was a 2.6 month supply of homes for sale in February, down from January. Before the pandemic, a 4 or 5 month supply was more the norm. I do agree with that. Homes remained on the market for about 34 days on average, up from 33 days. Pre-pandemic, the average time for homes to remain on the market was about a month. So, it's very similar. Sales of existing homes surged in most regions, led by the West, which saw almost a 20% increase. National Association of Realtors said the Silicon Valley may likely see more pain, and we've seen with one of the banks go out there and probably a lot more anxiety than actually needs to be that's going on. But with the tech sector kind of releasing a lot of jobs right now, there's definitely some anxiety in Silicon Valley. But like I say, with the bank, Silicon Valley Bank being bought out or being propped up, whatever you want to call it, probably is still more anxiety than people actually need to feel about it. However, the South reported about a 15.9 increase in sales in February, followed by the Midwest at 13.5 and the Northeast by 4%. Of course, sales are still down nationwide compared to last year. Interesting, all cash transactions made up about 28-29% of all transactions. About 27% of homes were sold to first-time home buyers, a drop from the previous month. First-time home buyers usually make up 33 to 34% of your buyer pool. Basically, individual investors or second home buyers rose from 16% to 18% in February. Big picture, there's clearly a ton of pent-up demand in the housing market, as seen by the 14.5% jump last month. A dip in mortgage rates may have propelled home buyers to jump in on the purchasing of a home, boosting sales. But is it for the moment? We'll see. It purely depends on the interest rates. With the banking uncomfortability that I really think is getting over exaggerated, but it still creates anxiety because we remember 2008, 2009. And I've got many of these podcasts, many of my newsletters that just say time and time and time again, it is a different reality than it was then. But basically, meeting supply is still the biggest issue at the moment. You can't buy what's not for sale. And there's still a lot of homeowners who are reluctant to list because let's say they have a 3-4% interest rate right now, and they don't want to kind of get into a 6% interest rate. Even though that may be maybe several hundred, maybe $1,000 difference a month. A lot of sellers I'm dealing with, they're just buying down the rate and kind of starting off with a rate that's similar to what they had. So in other words, let's say a 2-1 buy down, for example. Let's say the rate's at 6%. Of course, rates could change. This is just a speculative number I'm throwing out there. 6% rate. You buy it down to 4%, which is kind of like what their rate is now if they sell their home. And then for the first 2 years, they can kind of float it from 4, then it goes to 5, and then it stops at 6. And if it goes lower, of course, you can just refinance it and stay again at the lower interest rate number. But it's unclear, again, I'll say this again, it's unclear how long this mini recovery will last. Excuse me. Mortgage rates are now back up, back down, back up. Who's to say? I think we're seeing them retreat slightly because of the bank anxiety. I don't know how long that will last. I believe it could potentially make a stronger recovery if the rates go back down in the last, let's just say if the rates go down to, let's say 6%. Let's hope that. I think you could see a more long-term and more long-lasting recovery. Still, inventory levels at historic lows. Consequently, multiple offers are returning on a good number of properties. I think I just closed a house a week or so ago, and we had 22 offers. But the property was probably priced based on condition, and that's how you should always price property. I don't care what kind of market you're in. And we ended up like 22 offers, and the sellers got more than what we listed the house for, and they were very pleased. At this point, existing home sales, which generally comprise 90% of the market, are losing market share to new homes. In one of my more recent podcasts, I talked about a good opportunity out there for buyers is new home constructions on houses that are already built or contracts that fell through. You call me up and you say, hey, Vernon, I want to go buy a house. The first thing I'm going to do is say, talk to the lender, see what you can qualify. Second thing I'm going to say is, would you be interested in new construction? Because there's a nice amount of inventory out there on new constructions that are already completed or will be completed in 30 to 45 days. So that way, with the interest rates jumping up and down like a yo-yo almost, you can lock in that rate instead of 6 or 7 months down the road waiting for the house to be completely built. And who knows what the interest rate will be then. But a good opportunity in the new construction sector. I think new home construction sales have risen almost 10% in February. And builder confidence is starting to gain more of it. Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Voice Podcast. This is Vernon R.E. Jones. Please call us with any questions at 303-359-8218. Have a good rest of the week and weekend. And as always, please be safe.